They shoot our birds in Malta, don't they?
They do. Indeed.
There are birds. There are the migratory birds that are coming back from Africa to spend the summer with us here. Have you seen any swallows yet?
I have, yes.
Are they here?
They are. Well, they're, as they say, it's not one makes a summer, but they are beginning to arrive.
They're
so
beginning to arrive. I've got with me good friends, Therese Hamill from
Hello.
Newry and Mourne District Council, and I've down here, I've got Catherine Bertrand, the moths and butterfly lady.
That's it.
What a lovely way to describe you. Yeah. No, I heard in the World Service and that about the Maltese doing these terrible things. They go out and they shoot everything. Can you believe it? It's madness.
It's a long-held tradition, but it's a very small number of people, I think, on the island who have this. And a lot of the Maltese are they're really embarrassed about this sort of the way they're being projected. So,
yeah,
but it's
awful.
enforcement. Enforcement is very difficult.
But I mean, a fallen sparrow is to the benefit of the moth.
Yes, one less predator in the world.
One less predator in the food chain. So you've been doing. What sort of Easter did you have? You tell me first of all, Teresa, up at Gullion.
Very good, very good. We had Catherine down on Saturday, and we did some moth and bumblebee and butterfly identification. So we had a great day out, didn't we? Yeah.
We went out to the lovely lake on the Forest Drive.
I swam in that lake once.
Really?
I did. When I was a boy. I was 19 or 18 or 17, and it was an adventure because there's a terrible fable about that lake.
Really?
If you go in and swim in that lake, you grow old instantly.
Really?
Yes.
Yikes. Well,
I've been growing old slowly, not instantly.
We were very lucky because we found water dragons. We found newts.
There's the water dragon, the long thin body,
yes.
and the lovely big wings. Long.
Sadly, no wings, but beautiful little feet and lovely spotty undersides. The families that we were with, they grew young instantly, even the grown-ups, because they'd never seen water dragons. They'd never seen newts before in the pond. And
We used to have newts in the reservoir out where I lived in Rooney's Meadow. And we used to go and collect newts there. They still exist.
Oh, they do still exist, but this family had never ever encountered them before.
Wow.
So they were just, the mother said, this is the best day of my son's life.
And he was just lovely? Yeah,
it was
he saw
fantastic.
for all the world a dinosaur for him.
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But I remember the dragonfly.
Yes.
I went on a safari once for my radio program for the dragonfly in the peatlands of Banbridge.
Oh, very lovely.
And we had all the noises of the squelching through and there he is now, he's looking up at me. And boom, I've got him, there he is. Then we released him back again, you see.
We found their larvae, because the dragonflies actually live under the water for about 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
And they are ferocious monsters under the water. They have 6 legs and they have this incredible extendable jaw. So they lie in the mud with these huge eyes, just waiting. And as soon as anything comes past, including other baby dragonflies, they'll be like,
you got it.
And so the boys, they managed to find some of these as well. They were very excited. But the adults, you'll see the little damselflies at the moment. They're the little ones. They look like somebody's got a piece of string on either side of them, and they're kind of doing this. And they hold their wings down their bodies. So they're emerging now, and you can go out and look for dragonflies now. And there's Dragonflies Island. They would love to see your photographs and know what dragonflies you're finding. And then the proper ones with the big wings, they'll be sort of, there's a couple of emerged now, but they're much later in the summer.
And they're the fellows with the beautiful purpley blue eyes.
They have incredible, and green eyes.
Green, yeah.
And there's a wee red one at the moment that has big red eyes. They're just fantastic creatures.
Goodness gracious. And people mustn't harm them when they're out looking for them.
No, it's very easy. People are sort of like this.
Oh, yeah.
They want to get close to them. Yeah. But we recommend that if you're going out, you should use a net, really, and try not to handle them too much, because they're very delicate.
What kind of butterflies? Did you get butterflies on Gullion?
We did. We got a white one, didn't we? Yes.
We got the stripy
that sounds
pyjama
not very
one.
promising. Yeah, we did. We got a white one.
Well, we saw. There's a really nice shelter bit as you come down the Woodland Drive, and you're coming down the very last bit, sort of on the north side of the mountain, where we get the sun full. There were loads of butterflies down that lane. It was really pretty.
Really? Yes.
And then there's a very pretty little flower at the moment, the cuckoo flower, and we were looking on that in the gardens, and we were finding eggs of the orange tip butterfly, and they lay.
How can you tell from their eggs?
We know the butterflies are very, very fussy about what food their caterpillars will eat. So they lay their eggs on particular plants that the caterpillars want to eat. So the caterpillars need the leaves of the plant. So the orange tip butterfly, which the male has these big orange blobs. You can't miss him. He's got big orange blobs on his wings. He's white. The female is all white, and she's much more difficult to identify. But the orange tip male, easy. the female will lay her eggs on this one particular plant, cuckoo flower, or its Latin is Cardamine pratensis. It's the only one I know, but it's very pretty little flower, and then they have a little stem down to the main stem, and then a long stem down, and the egg is always laid between the flower head and the top of the stem.
Where did you get this knowledge?
Oh, just a lot of very, very knowledgeable people I've learned from over years. But it's just going out and looking. That's the joy.
But when did you decide you loved butterflies?
As a very small child, forcing them into jam jars. I don't know if I loved them then, but I was fascinated by them. And then I did music for years and years, and I realised I was never be very, very good at music. So I should do something different. And then I learned about chainsaws. That got me quite excited about being outside and doing work outside. And then I discovered butterflies and moths.
Be careful with chainsaws, not for any obvious reason.
Yeah.
Not for any obvious, but the vibration of the chainsaw, it can start the degradation of your elbow joint. You need to be careful.
Well, I realised I wasn't good at practical conservation so much. I can do it, but I'm not. There are people much, much more gifted. And then you suddenly realise the world that you're part of because you're outside and you're looking all the time and you find all these wonderful things.
So tell me about when I see a beautiful butterfly, big red blobs and all, flying in summertime. Is it in the first day of its life, the last day of its life, and what length is that life?
You have to remember it's been alive through its cycle. So it starts off as an egg. So if you think of the orange tip now, those little eggs that are laid now, and those tiny little caterpillars will hatch out, and there'll be little tiny green caterpillars feeding on the leaves. And then the really sad thing is this time of year, the councils come and they chop all of those flowers down. They're growing in the road verges, and we chop all the flower heads off just as the caterpillars are feeding on them, which is very worrying. But the council have done very well at not cutting lots of them down.
Well done, Therese.
Thank you very much.
That's jolly good.
Well done, yes. So the caterpillars feed on the leaves, and then they will be feeding for maybe 6 weeks, depending on the weather. If it's warm, they'll be really active. If it's cooler, they'll be slower because they need their solar powered. So then they go into their chrysalis.
Yes.
And then there'll be the chrysalis all the way through the rest of the year, through the winter time, around to next spring.
Wow.
And then they emerge next spring, and that's when we see those
So
ones
they
again.
emerge from emergence to the end. How long?
It depends if they're feeding. If they are, because some of our moths have no mouth, they don't feed at all. They only would live for a week. The butterflies, they are nectaring on flowers. They're going to flowers and sucking out the nectar from them. So they will live longer because they're eating. So they might live anything from a week to maybe a month. But if you see them, they become tattier and tattier over time. So they are hiding under long wet grass and in bramble bushes, and they're being pecked at by birds and trying to escape. So it depends. Sometimes you see them emerge and they're eaten straight away, and that's really awful. So it's just, that's nature.
But why did God make butterflies?
I don't know. The main job that they do is to feed everything else. And they feed everything else at all points of their life cycle. But if you think that one butterfly lays maybe, let's say 100 eggs, and of those eggs, some of them will die before they actually emerge as caterpillars, and the vast majority of them will be eaten as caterpillars. Quite a lot of them will be eaten when they're in their chrysalis. It's like a Mars bar for a mouse.
Wow.
Very, very tasty treat.
Really, yes.
And then maybe of the 100 eggs, maybe let's say 3 or 4 survive to actually be flying around as grown-ups and lay eggs of their own. So there's a very high drop-off, and their main job is to feed all these other creatures that are flying around, buds and things.
So I don't want to be a butterfly.
We don't want to be insects.
I don't want to
not
be
a good
there.
idea to be an insect.
It's not a good
It'd
idea.
be good to be a dragonfly because they're very powerful. They're a big
I
predator.
like that. I like that notion of lying in wait and wow, just getting the creatures as they pass.
Fabulous.
Teresa, what's this machine?
This is a moth trap, so we've got 4 of these now. We've got some funding from the Environment Agency, so we're willing to loan these out to people that are interested in catching moths in their gardens or schools. And we also have some ID books as well, so if they contact the office, we can sort of help them to find out what's in their gardens and stuff. So we're just trying to build up an idea of what's in the Ring of Gullion. We want people to start reporting what they find as well, so we're sort of getting them in that notion.
How long? It just seems to me you're doing great things there. When did this intelligent investigation start? Intelligent tourism? People are not just going and saying, this is lovely. They're going and saying, I want to find out more, and they're looking.
When
did this fine focus on information start?
I think over the last few years, because the Ring Gullion is an area of outstanding natural beauty, so it's a designated area, so we've got funding from the Environment Agency and the Council to develop projects. So we're just building on the start and just having new projects every year. So, and the more people get involved, the more we can build on it as well. Like, you know, so they're the most important things, really.
Catherine,
like,
are you impressed by Newry and Mourne?
I am. I've worked quite closely with Daniel Begley, who's in the council,
Yes,
who's the biodiversity
of course.
officer,
Yeah.
and I've met Darren and Therese through that. And there's so much enthusiasm, and there's some amazing people. We were out with Briege Rowe and her son Patrick Friday and Saturday, and Briege she's a fabulous photographer, and she is so alive, and she loves all these beasties so very, very much. And her son, who's 10, he could tell you, he just spends his life, I think, watching nature programs and playing football. But he'll tell you all these incredible facts that he's learned, and he's just absolutely in love with the world around him, which is marvelous.
And how long have you been doing the work professionally?
I started off as a trainee, learning to use chainsaws about 11 years ago with the National Trust in England, and then I came over to Northern Ireland 8 years ago to work on a nature reserve in the Belfast Hills.
Yes.
Then I was with Mourne Heritage Trust for a couple of years from 2008, and then I've been working for butterfly conservation for the last 4 years, and I've got another 3-year project, and I'm definitely going to be working a lot more with Ring of Gullion.
You seem to me to be undoubtedly and most assuredly a square peg in a square hole.
I am extremely grateful.
You are so lucky.
I am.
You're doing the thing you
very,
love
very
doing.
grateful.
How do people contact you and all of that?
If you put Catherine Butterflies in Northern Ireland into
Catherine, Catherine,
you'll find me on Google very easy. But butterfly
Catherine
conservation,
Butterflies, Northern Ireland, if you want to find out more. So I'm not so far wrong calling you my moths and butterfly lady.
No, not at all. And we'd love people that these are such simple things. Moth trapping, there's hundreds and hundreds of different moths. But the whole idea is that this box, it's got a light on it, you put it in your garden, you switch it on, moths are flying around at night trying to find Mrs. Moth to mate with, and they're basically blinded by the light, just like we would be with bright lights. They're flying along the way out to sea. They drop down inside, and then in the morning, you're having your breakfast, you come out and you can have a look through the trap and see. And we've actually got some, they're not alive, but we've got some creatures for you to have a look. If you want
Let's have a look.
Let's have a look. So the light would be on.
What you might now.
You'd come down in the morning, and you'd lift off the light.
My goodness, the light is now off.
And the light is now off, and you take off the lid. Now, sometimes they hide on the lid, but I know there's
yes.
You check under here first.
Okay, so there's nothing
Make sure
there.
there's none under there.
So we're going all right.
And then if you'd like to lift one out, lift out an egg box.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll see if you can identify who you've got in there.
Oh, yes.
So here
Oh
we got.
my gum. Oh, I've got the back to front cat and dog. Have I not?
You have one on this page. Can you?
Let me see. Here it is.
That's it.
Yeah.
So what's his name?
And its name is, it's the barred yellow.
That's the barred yellow there.
This is beautiful.
They are. My friend makes these incredible.
But tell me, why is this? We see this is in Northern Ireland.
Yes. Yep. It's actually quite
it's
common.
So beautiful. It's hard for you to see it. Andrew, can we come in tight on this, perhaps? Can you do that? Hello. Can you come in tight on this? No.
No.
Is that a no? Thank you. So we can't come in tight. Isn't that awful that I can't
don't
show
worry.
the people that?
Well, I can.
It's so beautiful.
I can carry. I suppose if I carry him over, I'm going to pull something. We'll pull out a lead. But yes, there's the thing is most people think moths are brown and boring, and they eat clothes and they hate them. And the first thing to do when they see a moth.
Oh
is
my
that.
goodness, no.
And they're a lot of people are very frightened of them. And the
Really?
thing with, if you think we
Really?
have over 1,000 types of moth, and any big
Yeah.
moths that come into your house and are flying around the light, I promise they're not interested in clothes. They're all
No,
vegetarians,
no,
the big
no.
ones. So anything this sort of size,
Yeah.
they're not going to come.
And
off
this
your
is
clothes.
this is done by Hachiware
Yes,
art.
Azumi Sagoya is the name of the artist.
Azumi Sagoya.
Azumi Sagoya.
Wow, it's so lovely. And where is Azumi from?
Azumi is originally from Japan,
I
but
thought
she
maybe
lives
so.
in Warwick in
Yeah.
England. And
But she's it's such a beautiful thing.
they're amazing. These
I can't
things.
believe that we can't show that to the people.
Well,
You
listen,
know,
we've
for
got.
shame. It's so beautiful. What else have we got
We
there?
have. You'll be able to see that one. This is a. People will know this one if they're out on the country. You've seen that one at some point.
Ah, yes, I have.
That's the
Yeah.
cinnabar moth.
The cinnabar.
So farmers will know the ragweed, the ragwort that grows
Oh,
in the
yes.
fields. Cinnabars are completely reliant on the ragwort as
My
their
goodness.
food plant. And they have lovely black and yellow caterpillars. So people would have seen black and yellow caterpillars
yeah.
crawling around on the
Yeah,
plant.
gorgeous.
That's what they turn into. And then we have this guy. You turn him over.
My goodness.
That
Wow,
one.
he's a leopard butterfly.
He is,
He's got spots.
He's got fabulous spots. He's the magpie moth. That
Wow.
one. He's on there.
But if I was a magpie, I'd be chasing this guy.
Absolutely, you would want to
Here he
gobble
is,
him up.
yeah.
That's him there, yeah.
Yeah. Goodness gracious, you want him immediately. You know, if one had a need of sustenance, yeah,
Yeah. I don't think it would do no
probably
good for
take
us.
the wings off. You get something.
You want the crunchy bit in the middle.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd need thousands and thousands to feed a person, which is why we would eat birds and things,
Yes,
because
of
the birds are
course.
busy eating those.
Yes,
And the
yes.
last one I'll show you, we've got the garden tiger, who's my personal favourite moth of all.
Oh my goodness,
he's-
he is lovely.
He's really quite spectacular. Let's see if we can show you the picture
Yeah,
of him, because the garden tigers, these should be in everybody's garden.
yeah, the garden tiger.
That's him there, and I'll just... Amazing, spectacular moths. And if you remember in the garden when you were a boy, you'd have found the hairy molly caterpillars.
Oh yeah,
The big
these are hairy mollies.
These are hairy molly all grown up. That's what hairy molly turns into. And they are just
Wonderful.
fabulous. But everybody's garden should have these in.
Yeah.
And we know that over the last 50 years, there's been an enormous decline in the number. So if you go out, you'll still find
And
one or
what
two.
can we do? What can we do at home to make sure that we can assist in bringing the decline to a halt?
If you think about your garden, and you look at your garden and pretend you're an insect, and think about where you would want to live if you were in your garden. So most people, especially this time of year, we mow our grass as short as possible all the time. We have control of our grass. But actually, if you leave a little patch of long grass,
Yes.
the children will find there's far more things to find in there. It's just a little house, it's shelter
Yeah.
for these creatures to live. And think about the plants that you're putting in. Think about, are you providing nectar? If you've got lots of very complicated flower shapes where you can't actually see the centre of the flower,
Yes.
the insects can't either, so they can't get any nectar out of it. And you want to think about using types of plants. There's lots and lots of resources now on the web. If you go in and you put nectar-friendly or bee-friendly plants or butterfly-friendly plants, you get great lists of things to plant. And then the other thing, the really important thing to think about, is what do the caterpillars need? Because if you just provide food for adults, we feed birds seeds all the time, and they do very well at that, but they can't feed those seeds to their babies. They need to feed caterpillars to their babies. So if you like birds, put in food plants for caterpillars, bits of long grass. There's lots of lists. You can get in touch with me. I can send you the list with all the different
And
plants.
remind them again of the website.
If you look for Butterfly Conservation Northern Ireland or Catherine Butterflies Northern Ireland, you'll find me very easily.
You're wonderful people. Thank you very, very
Pleasure to
much
meet you,
indeed,
Rowan.
Catherine.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you.
Thank
Teresa,
you.
all the
Thank
best,
you.
darling. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.